Welcome back, fellow rock lovers. Check this out. What is this big old rock I have here? I believe this is Chert. Could be flint. I'm not 100% sure. I do know that I picked this up in England. I was metal detecting a big farm field, and there were lots of rocks. This one just spoke to me. It was a little wet that day, so the colors and the patterns were really starting to come out. It looks a little like banded chert that I find in Texas. There's some spots anyway, if I can find them, that show some banding. I'm not sure I can find them now. Well, regardless, what I thought we would do, since I put in the effort to take this thing home with me all the way across the pond, well, let's turn this rock into a slab to cab video. What I'm going to do is take this big old piece of, we'll just say chert / flint, and I'll make a few slabs, and then I'll bring them back in here and we'll decide how to turn one of those into a cabochon. What I'm hoping is we get to see a lot of contrast. You can see some there. You see some different colors in there, sure. If I can get a good slab off this thing that shows lots of design and contrast, I think we could be in for a really beautiful cabochon. Let's find out. Let me get this thing slabbed, and then I'll bring them back in here and I'll show you what they look like. Welcome back inside. Check it out. This English field rock has been slabbed, and it was full of fractures. That's right. Every slab I made broke apart. We still have some bigger pieces left, but mostly a bunch of broken slab pieces. Let's take a quick look anyway. This was the end piece here, and well, it is pretty. It's that chert, I think. Let's just call it chert. You can see there that it does have fractures. So we can look at these quickly here. And again, you'll notice lots of fractures. So we could still take one of these pieces and try to make a cabochon. That would not be a problem, right? We just have to be careful. Avoid those fractures. Some of these larger slabs, well, look at this one broke tremendously while it was on the saw. Ooh, little banded section there. We could probably find some good real estate to work with. Oh, sure. A little bit there maybe, but that's kind of plain looking. But I had a thought. I decided, let's call an audible on this one, and instead of doing the slab and cab like I had planned, let's do a slab and tumble video. That's right. Let me do this. Let me get all of these broken slab pieces that you see here, get them in a coarse grit barrel, put some silicon carbide 6090 grit in there, and get these tumbling away so they'll get nice and smooth. Well, on the edges anyway. As you can see, the cut surfaces are very smooth. What I suspect will happen is we will end up with even more pieces, because once these get tumbling in the barrel, I think they're just going to break more. I could probably, well, not that one. I could probably break a couple of these if I really, well, maybe not. So let's do that. Let me go ahead and take all of this English chert, all these slabs that I made, get them in the barrel, get them tumbling. I think we'll still end up with some beautiful rocks. These will all be nice and shiny when we're done, right? Let's do that. I'm gonna get all these in the barrel. I'll get them going in the 6090 grit. I'll keep them rolling until they're smooth. Once they're smooth, I'll bring all these back in here and I'll show you what they look like before moving them onto the polishing stages in the vibratory tumbler. It's taken many, many weeks, but our broken slab pieces of this English chert are finally ready to move on to the polishing stages. As you can see, they are all much smaller. I was trying to make them perfectly smooth, and in the process, well, they broke like we predicted, and we got lots of small pieces now. Will any of these be interesting once we get a shine on them? It's been my experience that this sort of material takes a very good shine. So will this? I believe it will. Will that make these pieces interesting? I don't know. They're all pretty plain looking, right? Just different shades of brown. You know, a little bit of pattern in that one there, I suppose. Let's find out what these will look like once we get them nice and shiny. So what I'm going to do next is take this little pile here. I'll get it in the vibratory tumbler. I'll go for about 12 days, use 4 different grits. Once I'm finished with that final 14,000 grit aluminum oxide polish, I'll bring these back in here and I'll show you what they look like. Welcome back. The polishing's all finished. What do you think? Well, we definitely got some shiny rocks, but did we get any interesting rocks? Was this worth it? Well, what started as a slab to cab video that turned into a slab to tumbling video. Let's start with this piece here. This one at least has some patterning in it. You see that? It's got a good shine, and I suppose it's not bad. Are there any others in this little pile that are worthy of any affection? I sort of like this one here because it has that light color on the edge there. You see on the top edge. Otherwise, it's, well, like most of these, just rather plain, in fact, fractured, but still, there's something about that corner that at least makes me somewhat interested in it. This piece doesn't offer much on this side, right? You see that same sort of bland Chert pattern right there. However, when we turn it over, well, that's kind of fun right there, that little shape. What is that? To my eye, it looks sort of like a ghostly head with that sort of ethereal quality around it. Is that the word? Ethereal? Ephemeral is what, lasting a short time. I think it's ethereal, but if I'm wrong, I apologize. It's got a glow around it. How's that? So here's the chunk that was a larger corner piece that broke while this thing was getting initially cut up. And it's the only piece that seems to offer any kind of banding. You see it right there? Little bit of banding in the Chert. So I guess we can officially say this was banded Chert. This little piece also has some fun stuff in it on this side. It has that softer white material. You see how it's porous? Seems like it's undercutting just slightly. I hate to say it, but that's about the only thing that makes these rocks interesting. Yeah, there's really no point in droning on about these. They all pretty much look like these right here. They have a good shine, to be sure, but otherwise they're just not that interesting, which probably means it was a good thing we didn't take the time to turn one of these into a cabochon, because it would have been a rather mundane cabochon. I'll end on this one here. It's, well, much like the one we started with, not super interesting. However, on this side, oh, it has that outer space look, and I like that. I can imagine that being the Milky Way right there, looking up. Out there in West Texas, when it's a very dark night, no moon, you can look up and see the sky, and the Milky Way just stands out brilliantly, and that's sort of what it looks like. So I guess we can call this one Milky Way rock. Thank you all so much for watching this little video. It started out as a slab to cab and morphed into a slab to tumble video. You know, sometimes you have to call an audible. And I think it turned out kind of nice, right? Well, if you like shiny rocks, it did. Otherwise, well, I lugged this thing over from England for nothing. That's okay. It's part of the fun of this sport of ours, this lapidary hobby. You just never know. Once again, thanks for watching, and be sure and check my other videos for more like this.